Welcome, my name is Kit. This is the fourth video in a series where I'm designing and building a cruising dinghy for two people. I'm calling it the Bedbug. This is the fifth small sailboat that I've designed and built myself, and it's certainly the most complex. In this section, I'm going to start by fitting some cleats to fit some of the furniture in the boat, like a rear tank and some division under the main thwart. I'm going to scarf and attach an outer gunnel. And then the Daggerboard trunk, I'm going to glass it and fit it and secure it in the boat. So let's get started. First, so this starts with me marking out the rear seat. These dimensions are straight from the CAD drawings, the original CAD drawings for the boat, and I didn't need to fit anything, just the dimensions that they were fit. And then that piece, this is some hardwood, some ash. So the seat is made of 3/8" plywood, and it really needs some structure as it spans 4.5 feet across the stern of this boat. This is one of two pieces that are going to go under that seat, spanning it laterally. But the hardwood goes on the front because it's prettier. The piece that I ended up putting in the middle was just some Doug fir milled out of a 2x4. And so all these cleats that get attached to the transom are going to get a bevel cut on them, and I'm just measuring and I'm just using a speed square to measure that. Where all this furniture at the back is going to attach to the transom, it's already been drawn out. So I can screw pilot holes, clamp this cleat on, and then screw pilot holes from the other side. And of course all of this would have been a lot easier to do before I attached that transom. But I'm not so confident in my plans that I don't know if I'm going to change something halfway through. So it's a little bit slower and a little bit more difficult, but it allows you to adjust as you go. And this is all dry fitting at first. Oh no, there's some squeeze out there. Little PL premium, and then I made some makeshift clamps to span that gap. Those are all just cut up pieces of 2x4 that I used to attach planks to clamp planks together at the chines.
What does he want from it, and what is he doing to reshape where around this vision?
So now I'm milling up some stock for Gunnels, and I think this was originally 30 seconds thick. And I take just about a kerf off of that thickness. I need to put a scarf joint in these, so I measure them back all the same length. I think I did about 8:1 on this. I clamp all those together so I can draw where that cut line should go. I don't like the technique I used on this. I tried to clamp on a piece to use as a guide for a circle saw. It ended up working okay, but I think a technique I used later to cut the inner gunnel and to scarf that inner gunnel, I think it's video 7, does a better job where I run this through a table saw. I use hot glue and run it through a table saw. It worked better. Yeah. Like I said, I think it's turned out okay, but I had to come back and clean it up with a couple different tools. I'm not sure how much it helped. It took down some high spots, I'd guess. As I get these clamps off, you'll be able to see like that scarf joint isn't perfect, but I think it'll be plenty strong for this outer. So I think the issue is going to be mostly cosmetic. I'm measuring and placing these cleats where I'm going to attach these panels under that main thwart. When I put the whole together, things moved a little bit, and so I don't trust my CAD drawings to do the exact dimensions of these panels right, so I'm fitting panels with some cardstock and some tape. So here I am cutting out these seat tops, I guess you'd call it. It's going to double as the floor. I'm cutting these out of 3/8 inch ply, and I'm sitting on them for the first time and realizing how much give, how weak that thin of plywood is for how the distance I've got it spanning. I want to say build video 6. I come back in and redo all that with 1/2 inch ply. Cleaning up these gunnels a little bit before I put them on the boat. And PL Premium, like I use so much out here in the desert, you got to give it a little moisture for it to kick. I didn't get enough glue on this. I did not get quite enough squeeze out. This is just a little bit too thin right here. This is one of the spots where you use all the clamps you own. I got 2 buckets of them right here, and I think I used all of them on this gunnel, and if I would have had more, I would have used more. Find that balance point in the middle to put that first clamp on, and then kind of look for spots with not a lot of squeeze out and come back and try to get a little squeeze out. But like I said, that did not get quite enough glue. Squeeze all the glue out, but to add a little.
Four is another awesome one. This is the new Kershaw Iridium button lock. Our novel is number 2, Dagger in the Decisive Moment. So the decisive moment is actually an art term. And then 2, you also want to consider interrupting just before that decisive moment happens. So a classic example of this would be the short story Bullet in the Brain by Tobias Wolff. So now the short story takes place after the bullet is shot and as it...
And then come back and clear up that shear line, you know, cut the glue, excess glue off. Come back with the hand plane and plane the plywood down to the gunnel. Fitting a piece of trim at the main thwart. So I need to recess this piece of trim a little bit. The thickness, the 3/8 inch thickness of that plywood, to make everything flush, and that way also the seat cover is going to sit on it better. So I scribe that out where it's going to be recessed, and then come and cut from the inside with the table saw. and it's too small to run a router over, so I just use a hand plane to round over the edge.
And so this is quite long, basically.
Man, there is a beauty to a wooden boat, huh? And I'm going to PO premium this on. If you didn't use enough on the gunnel, you'll use too much on the trim.
And he goes back. Right, yeah, so $12 an hour. They're not going to work for $20 an hour.
You can see those blue tanks in there. Part of the design of this boat was so that I could put 110 pounds of ballast in water tanks under that main thwart.
They didn't have YouTube in 1955 as a base. Not wood,
And now I'm cutting the tops of the seat to that main thwart and just cleaning them up a little bit. Did the trim, so I'm going to move to some more hardwood for the seat tops. And this is some old scrap. This is from an old boat build. It's from the first boat I built. Alright, and then the last part of this build is the Daggerboard trunk. And so I'm coming in and drawing a center line. This is going to have an off-center Daggerboard, and you can see that structural on the leading edge, or what's going to be the leading edge of the Daggerboard, that structural piece. But I need to draw a center line down this to know where my Daggerboard's going to be at, and then it's got to run straight fore and aft, parallel to the direction of travel of the boat. And then I come back in with some scrap plywood to fit this Daggerboard. And, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, if I had built this to perfect dimensions, I could have put this in as I was planking the boat, but the hole is off, half an inch in a couple spots, and so I figured I'd just fit it. You cut it to the dimensions on a drawing, then you got to come back in and fit it anyways, and if it's too small, you just wasted that much wood, so I just came in and fit it this way. So I'm not sure if I did this right here, but the idea is to cut it wide of all your lines and then flip it over upside down so that you got mirror copies of each side of this Daggerboard trunk. And so I did not end up with mirror copies of this like I should have. I should have flipped that big piece that I'm cutting these out of. I should have flipped that upside down. That way I could put my drawn, my marked face up, and got mirrored sides of this, and then I could have put the good face on the inside. And so because fore and aft there's a little bit of rocker, a curve along the bottom of this boat, you come in and mark that rocker, and then I just cut it with a table saw. So I'm using up those clamps to make cleats for this. So I'm going to do the outer cleats at the top and the bottom edge of these faces first. And you can see that I did not get mirrored copies of this, as I've got that bad face on one side and the good face on the other side, and both of these are going to be outside faces of the Daggerboard trunk. Now I come back with a hand plane and plane them down to the sole, to that curve in the sole. I forgot I glued half of these internal cleats with PL Premium. I should have done that with epoxy. PL Premium does lose its adhesive strength with too much exposure to water. Another mistake here is that I made a little bit of an angle for like a reverse rake of the Daggerboard. I should have just done that Daggerboard straight vertical and not done internal cleats. So I'm going to put glass on the inside of this to keep rot out and to keep it strong. I still, in this clip, I cringe watching this because I really did not understand what I was doing with glass, and I float it and leave puddles, and I should be rolling it. Using these spreaders leaves these puddles, and even I think I got gas bubbles off gassing because I did it when it was still warm. At the bottom of this trunk, I'm doing some weep holes and some plugs so that if water gets in between those cleats, it'll flow out. See, this side I used epoxy to stick it all together. Come and clean up the wood glue on the bottom of this. I mean, wood glue at the bottom of this should have been epoxy there too. Wood glue definitely, even the Type on 3 water exposure just dissolves it. We're talking long-term water exposure though, like weeks. Test fit it and it looks good. So I mean, really I should be clamping this from three directions, right? Fore, aft, and from the sole. I think it was a mistake not to clamp this, not to come in from the bottom with screws to add some clamping pressure on the sole. I did screw pilot holes so I can come and router out the opening though. And all this is getting attached with epoxy, so. Get it all wet and then come back in with thickened epoxy, and I mean it's tough to work with, you know. You set yourself a timer. In the winter it needs extra long to cure. You got to mix it all right. There's just so many things that can go wrong with it, but nothing keeps water out like epoxy does. I even put in a little piece to spread that apart so I can try to keep that epoxy where I want it, and I can get that in and then take the spreader out and then stack up some bricks. And that's part 4 of building my cruising dinghy for 2 people, the Bedbug. I mean, as you can see now, I've got it painted, and I I mean, right now I'm filming the build process video 8 of, I think it's going to be a 9 video series. I'm doing, present time, I'm doing a rudder and a daggerboard and a tiller, and I'm going to do a mast in video 8. Video 9, I'm going to sew sails, get it on a trailer, and launch it. 2 other boats that I designed and built myself are on my channel. One of them is a dory for light weather, but it sails fine in light weather, but I need to fix some flotation issues with that. And then the other video is the one that started this channel, the seamless skiff that is designed to be sailed with the Harbor Freight canvas tarp as a sail. That one I love. That's my favorite boat I've ever sailed. That yawl. Anyways, in a week, part 5 will be out. It's gonna be kind of a dark part of the build, but it's making progress. I think I'm gonna get it launched here soon. Thanks for watching.